Hello and welcome to another Successful Garden Design Show. In this episode we're going to look at how you can incorporate fruits, vegetables and herbs into your garden and still have it look like an amazing designer garden. If you're frustrated your garden doesn't look as beautiful as it could, even though you've purchased lots of lovely plants, then help is at hand. Plants are not enough. You have to have a good design layout. And when you combine design with the beauty of plants, that's when the magic really happens. It's our mission here at Successful Garden Design to show you how to do it, and it's much easier than you may think. I'm Rachel Mathews and I've been a professional international garden designer for over 25 years, and I teach garden design online. So I'm here at the Babylonstoren garden, which is an hour out of Cape Town in South Africa, and this is one of the best examples in the world of how you can incorporate fruits and vegetables into a garden setting and still have them look fabulous. So I'm going to show you lots of different tips and ideas in this episode of how you can create stunning fruit and vegetable borders in your garden. So before we look around the actual garden, I want to show you the design layout, because that's really the key to having an amazing looking garden. Now, the garden is relatively new. It was designed in 2007 by the French architect Patrice Travailla. Now, this design, as you can see, is very formal in its layout, and that's really important because this is a working garden. There's over 300 different varieties of edible plants and medicinal plants in this garden, and the one thing that anyone that knows who's grown vegetables knows is that vegetables and fruit can get very messy, so it's very important that you find a way to make the garden look good all year round, and Patrice has done this in his design by making sure that each of the planting areas has a formal clipped hedge around it, so that immediately there's something neat for the eye to look at. But also you can see from the design it's set out in this grid system, which makes it very easy to manage, because remember, this is a working garden. They have various restaurants and they have hundreds of guests to feed, so it's critical that this garden is both beautiful to look at because people can walk around it, but also that it's functional, as Babylonstoren is a very popular vineyard with lots of visitors. Now let's have a look at how you can incorporate the techniques they've used in this garden and how you can adapt them into your garden, and how you can also do this in a way that doesn't have to be formal. So the main takeaways are to provide structure. Now, it doesn't have to be a formal clipped hedge like they've used here, although that can be very useful, as you can see. It does give structure, as do the rustic timber pergolas. But your structures could be perhaps a low retaining wall, it could be some nice planting like lavenders, or anything that you can put in front of your herbs and your vegetables. And you can see here they've got low retaining walls that work very well. Anything that is solid that provides a visual screen between the main view of the vegetables or fruit, and they can be poking up behind it, but you just need something that always looks good all year round in front of it. And you can see that not every single border has a hedge around it. Some of them are quite free-form, but notice the big blocks of planting. So again, that looks impressive. There's something for the eyes to hold on to, and there's some structure. They've got fennel here in between the Swiss chard, and that really, they're things that are going to look good for quite a time of year. And not the whole garden is down to vegetables. You can see the formal ponds that they've got here, and they've painted them beautiful colours which sort of work in with the surrounding landscapes of the Simonsberg Mountains in the background there. So they've tied in the garden with the environment, which is important. They've used block planting, things like lavenders that are going to look good all year round because of their evergreen structure, so even when they're not in flower. So it doesn't need to be quite as formal as they've done here in this garden, although if you're going to do a lot of fruit and veg production, having it easy to access is very important. So if you don't want to look at the access routes at the front of it, if you have something behind the border that you can access it and something in the front to disguise it, that's really the main key to success here, having the structure that looks good all year round, and then you can have the vegetables doing their thing behind it. Now in a moment we're going to look at the wonderful herb and healing garden that they have at Babylonstoren. But before we do that, I just want to quickly tell you about a new website we're launching called successfulgardendesigner.com. Now this is to help people who want to learn how to become a professional garden designer. So if you're bored in your current career and it's something you've always wanted to do, head on over to successfulgardendesigner.com for all the details of how you can turn your dream job into a reality without having to spend thousands or years at college retraining. Okay, so back to the Babylonstoren healing garden. Now this is a beautiful garden. Again, a lot of focus has been put on the design layout, and the water within the garden comes from this little waterfall here. It flows over into the rill, which then runs through the rest of the garden, and there's these gazebos that are just simply made out of bamboo, and the water flows around them and underneath them and links the two together, and then there's a main pool right in the center, and just the sound of the water and the gentle movement of it and the flow linking the garden is very relaxing immediately. So before you've eaten a single herb, there's a sense of relaxation washes over you. And what I particularly love about this healing garden is all of the herbs are in a ailment-specific border. Again, the neatness of them has been created by the timber edges, which tie in well with the edges of the rill. But when you go up and investigate each of the borders, each one has a very specific use. So if you are feeling a bit ill, just to not have to hunt around for particular herbs, you've got a whole border that's specially for lung conditions and coughs and stomach aches and flu. It's a great idea. I've never seen it done like this elsewhere. So I really love this garden with both the peace and tranquility of the layout and just the common sense approach of having each border be for a specific ailment or use was just a great idea. So I do hope this episode has inspired you to incorporate fruits and vegetables into your landscape design of your garden. Now, design is the most important factor, as I hope I've been able to get across to you in this episode. So if you'd like to know more tips on exactly step-by-step how you design your own garden, head on over to successfulgardendesign.com/free classes, and you can attend one of our free web classes that will walk you through all the steps you need to know in order to be able to create a stunning garden. Until next time, take care.